Hello? Hello, friends. Bacon is eating lunch. Oh, are these Bacon's glasses? We have, I don't know if I can fit these over my eyeglasses. Nope. That doesn't work. Get an actual mic. Can you hear me in this? Friends? Let's see. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing. All right. Hey, it works. Let's see. Let me post on Discord that I'm going to sit with you guys for a little while and answer some questions. Hold on, my OCD is kicking in. I have to fix this chair. All right. I think that feels a little better. And this bottle is killing me on the stream right now. We will put that on the floor. Oh, okay. This feels a little bit better, although that could probably be centered more. And we're good. So, T-Bone asks, is this going to be another Star Citizen? Well, no. Star Citizen, more power to them. I hope they succeed. They have a sci-fi based persistent world. They do sell, I believe, starships that if you were a certain backer, you could get some type of insurance on them. So if they got destroyed, you get them back. That may be considered pay to win. Well, okay, it is pay to win. We have absolutely zero pay to win whatsoever. And we will not be selling you $2,500 ships on the ocean. Hello, Laura Domini. How are you, my friend? Hello, Fiestas. Okay, let me post. Post here. Chaotic Waffle says Stuffingtons is pay to win. Well, is it though? Is it pay to win? I don't think it is. Gonna answer some questions from the community on Twitch at everyone. Love. So, how has the Twitch stream been so far? It just says, how can I win an Alpha Zero key? Ziz, do you not have an Alpha Zero key? I like your content. I think I will give you an Alpha Zero key. Congratulations, Ziz. You have won an Alpha Zero key. Raffling keys, Stephen. Talking Fish, we will raffle some keys today. So, yes. Okay, Is Nebula asks, will NPCs do idle actions to make the world feel alive? That's something I think that Jeff spoke to me about early on. Oh my gosh, that was like a year and a half ago during our pre-production kind of planning phases. And, excuse me, I was not against that idea, so we will see what happens with that. Kayla's 85. Stephen, I would love you if you gave me a key. Well, hey, I love you anyways, and you just might get a key. We'll see what happens with the giveaway. Vadator. I have faith in you and your team, Stephen. My name is spelled with a V. Thank you, though. Even just the developer interactions is almost as good as playing the game. Thank you for pointing the Evermore drama back in the proper direction. Thank you, Vadator. I appreciate that. I cannot tell you guys just honestly how much it means to not just myself, but to the team as well, to have such support from you guys and the community in general. BioExile says, I don't want an alpha key. I just want a good playable game within my lifetime. Well, how old are you, BioExile? I will let you know if you will have a good playable game in your lifetime. Stephen, Lion Mounts. BioExile says 34. All right, BioExile. As long as over the next under 2 years, you don't do anything too risky.
Commandeered the station.
I know, I took it over. As long as you don't do anything too risky over the next couple of years, you'll be fine. Uno Lord asks, thanks for, you know what we needed? We needed.
Are we like on?
Oh yeah, we're on.
We're like on.
We need headphones so that we can hear.
Actually hear.
Yeah. We should have done that.
Next time.
Yeah.
Next time, definitely.
Yeah. Let's see. Stephen and Bacon sitting in a tree. Hey, there's no trees here. Oh wait, there is a tree right behind us.
What's this? Yeah.
It's a tree.
Tree.
I didn't know that. What are your Supernova Stream asks, what are your biggest concerns with this game's development, and what are you guys doing to avoid it coming to pass? Ooh, that's a toughie. My probably biggest concern that I think I have had is probably the decision that I made early on to have an open and transparent development process. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a concern as much as it was a risk and reward. And, I can understand why some studios do not have open development with the community seeing something that is so work in progress. Like, you see the content we put out, and it looks nice, it looks good, but it's not polished. We are in a production state. So in game development, it tends to be that polish occurs near the end cycle of production, right?
Yeah.
And typically the downside, the concern with open development is that some percentage of the audience is either viewing the game for the first time, not knowing what it's about, and seeing play and thinking that is the game.
Yeah.
That is the final product, and they make their decisions about it at that point. Now, the counter argument to that is that when you have the final product ready a year later or whatever it takes time to get it, they'll see that again and say, oh, okay, I like this. But sometimes the truth can be that they don't see the product again later, and you have missed your quote-unquote user acquisition point.
Not to mention you run the risk of like someone running around talking about how this doesn't,
right.
I didn't
like
yes,
that. Absolutely.
Like
Negative press.
Cemented.
Right, yeah.
It's already cemented.
It is cemented, and, they go on the Reddits, and they say things that are either untrue or just, they feel compelled to spread their opinion, which is fine. You should spread your opinion, but it should be informed.
Yeah.
And oftentimes it's not. But that's I guess the greatest quote unquote concern I had. But I think that the rewards outweigh the risk, and the reward is that even though we have those individuals, some percentage of the viewership that'll do that, what we've gained is far greater, and that is having an active development community that watches progress and is invested from an early stage,
like family.
and can get they are our family and can give us real-time feedback, and we can use the real-time feedback.
Yeah.
So, we are taking the risk of showing something a work in progress, but gaining the benefit of seeing the faces of the fans, going to the panel, coming to events like this, having our alpha, being on Discord. All of those things, in my opinion, outweigh the risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that is, otherwise, from a development standpoint, I don't have that much concern. The team is so veteran. They have done these MMOs before. Our systems are not technologically challenging. They can be done. We know how to do them. We are doing them now. So it's not as though I have many concerns, or even my team has many concerns from a development standpoint. All those systems.
And it doesn't hurt that our stuff already looks good.
That's true. This is true. That is absolutely true. Okay. What other questions do we have? Oh, this is going very fast. How do I stop this? Not like this.
Yeah.
No. Can I just stop the chat?
How much evils are going to be in the game?
How much what?
Evil.
There is a great deal of, what is evil?
Well, they were talking about Shadow Knights and
I got it.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff.
Necromancers.
There is, because we're a non-faction base, you want to grant the user the ability to either do things that are quote-unquote evil or good. Mm-hmm. So there has to be a plethora of choice on the evil side for them to participate in. So that could be the Shadow Knight kind of thing, the Necromancer type of thing. Now, Necromancer, though, we're taking a little bit of a twist on how Necromancers are their identity. A Necromancer traditionally is evil in the sense that they corrupt death for their service, right? To serve some type of necromantic lord.
That doesn't
Necromancer.
necessarily mean that they're not nice people.
Wait. No, what I mean is that I view the Necromancer as a master of life and death. And the way I kind of want to implement our Necromancer is you can choose to be a Necromancer for good or a Necromancer for dark and twisted things.
There you go.
Either is viable. If you want to work with spirits that aid, you can do that. If you want to summon zombies and skeletons and other type of undead creatures, you can do that as well. And then you can use them for your will. What other question do we have? Questions? For PvE raids, oh my god, it's going so fast. Hold on, I'm going to try to stop this.
Yeah, it's hard to catch when they start rolling.
I wish you could pause the stream chat. All right. Question. Hi, Steven. From Scary Gamer. Scardy Gamer. Hi, Steven. Loving the streams and how well you are getting involved with the community. Could you please tell us a little bit about character creation and how in depth we will be able to go? For example, will we have to say an elf with blue skin, really long ears? With blue skin, no. So character creation. We want there to be a lot of room for people to manifest their own identity, to role play how they want to from even an appearance standpoint. But there's going to be parameters within which you will be able to customize a character per se. For example, you said an elf with blue skin. No, I don't think our elves are going to have blue skin. We want the culture and identity of the races to exist in a range that makes them easily identifiable from other players and other cultures. So because of that, we have to have a spectrum you can exist on. And that spectrum for elves will not involve blue skin, but there'll be a lot of hair variants you can do, body art and tattoos that you can apply. You'll be able to play with the scales of the facial structure, the bones, the height, the width, the body fat percentage. You'll be able to add, body hair on different parts of the body. You'll be able to. That sounded weird, but I mean, like, if you want to have hair on your feet, you can dial that up.
Female dwarven beards.
Female dwarven beards. That is something we are absolutely looking at doing.
There you go. There you go.
It will not match the dwarven beard of the male. It will be more of a braided option that is not as volumescent, I guess.
Yeah.
But it is some facial hair that we do want to identify the Dunir with, not the Nakua.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
# give us blue skin. # James Cameron's avatar. # copyrighted. # sorry, retract. Okay, question from Malgus568. Will you come to the UK in the future? Please confirm. I don't know if we will go to the UK, but we will be going to Europe, and we have not announced when that is. So it's not too far away from you. Centaur mounts. That would look really strange. A centaur mount.
Yeah, that would be weird.
By the way, have you ever seen centaur babies ever done?
No.
Just like having a baby on top of the horse body, and like it can't hold its head up though, so it's back.
That would be messed up.
I've never seen a baby centaur. I'm just saying.
There's a reason for that.
There's a reason. Maybe Cambiguous asks, did you guys enjoy the donuts? We did. Who gave us the donuts? Was it Cambiguous?
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, buddy. We enjoyed the donuts. Very much so.
Wait a second, we got donuts?
Oh, I'm sorry. I ate some of them. I actually got to have breakfast this morning because of that.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Speaking of breakfast, is there lunch in there? I hope so.
I don't think so.
I thought John went to get lunch. Okay.
There's a spread of something in there, but I didn't catch whether that was just lunch.
Okay. Question. Evan, so will you try to make book combat actually feel like using a book as a weapon? I love books as weapons, but most just use them as a catalyst of magic instead. So, funny thing, when we were creating the book we have for Alpha Zero, one of the ideas floating around was to have a large tome with a chain that held the tome.
Oh,
and
wow.
you could swing the tome to hit
Nice.
your targets as a melee book.
That would be cool.
And whether or not that comes to fruition, we will see. But it was an idea on the sketchboard.
Very cool. Very cool.
Origami Skies, please put chocolate-covered bacon as a food buff item. Have you ever had chocolate-covered bacon?
No.
You haven't had them at the Del Mar Fairgrounds?
No.
Or like a deep-fried Twinkie?
Nope.
Oh my gosh,
Are they
chocolate-covered bacon's really good because you got like the sweet outside with the bacony, little bit of salty perhaps, and it's cured.
Wow.
Oh, it's good.
Wow. All right, I'll have to check that out.
Very good. All right, question. Will the monthly closing items from the store be dyeable? Will they be dyeable? Will they be dyeable? That is actually a good question. I don't know if the full body costumes I don't see why they couldn't be dyeable, because what we do with dyeable items, dyeable assets, is we tag the portions of the character armor or cosmetic, the asset itself, that we want to be adjustable, right, to change colors. And then when that tag is present and you use an item in game, it affects only those tagged meshes.
Yeah.
So I don't see why they won't be dyeable. Outside of wanting to keep maybe some identity from a lore perspective, for example, if you have like a white lion's suit of armor, you may not want that white lion's suit of armor to be black or blue. So it's possible. It depends, I think, on the costume itself. A question from Raisler. Do you have an idea of how we would go about changing augments on skills if we want to test other options? Yes, Raisler. So, as we have said, are you leaving? You're leaving? Oh, bye. Bye-bye, friends. We'll see you next time. What was the question?
I don't remember.
Oh, changing augment, sorry. So we don't want you to be able to change your secondary class or the augments you have applied out in the open. We want you to have to make a conscious choice somewhere at an NPC, bye-bye, in order to go out and adventure with those chosen augments and skills. So yes, you can change it, but it will function in a way where you must speak with some NPC somewhere in order to do so. Now, that becomes relevant because the level of node necessary for that particular NPC to be available will likely be either at the village stage or above. So if you are far out in the wilderness exploring and we have no instant teleportation in the world, you need to be conscientious of what your choices are and not be able to change them on the fly. Wegger asks, what was your nickname as a kid? Did I have a nickname as a kid? I don't think I did. What was your nickname as a kid?
Oh, man. I probably was Baconator.
Was it Baconator? Yes, that is totally cool. I love that. I wish I had a nickname like that. Mine was Stevenator. No, I'm just kidding. It was Steven. Be like bacon. No, I don't think I had one. The talking fish, is alchemy confirmed as a profession? Alchemy is indeed a profession. Yes.
That's good. That was a question I couldn't answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a profession.
So there you go.
All professions are housed within a specific artisan path. So we have 3 artisan paths. Those are gathering, processing, and crafting. Now, depending on where you want your professions to, depending on which professions you wish to utilize, will probably be taken into account when you choose which path you want to master. Our Arcosis, loving what I've seen of the game so far. I hope you guys keep up the amazing talk and make this amazing MMO can be. My question is involving the Taldar. What can be said about them? What variety of design will be included in them? And what will they resemble? So the Taldar are a race in Ashes of Creation that were added as a stretch goal during our Kickstarter. They are a combination of the minor races of Vera that existed before the fall and the major 4 races that were present, kind of commingling in the underrealm of Vera as a means to survive. Their designs include influences from mammalian, reptilian, and humanoid features, and their character creation process will include the player being able to dial those features up in one of those categories. Okay. Demon Chicken of Doom asks, if I were a summoner main class with a mage secondary, could I summon an animal and enhance it with an explosion spell or something so that it will explode when it dies or after a set amount of time? So, evocation is an explosive school of magic in traditional Dungeons and Dragons. Again, that is copyrighted, retract. We are not using Dungeons and Dragons. But just to give you an idea, if your mage secondary class included an augment school, that reflected evocation, with another school that maybe reflected elementalism, and another school that reflected teleportation. Your summons could be applied one of those augments, and in their skill use, you could utilize those new augments. For example, if your summon had a sweeping attack with a claw, or had the ability to bite an opponent, or rush an opponent, and you took teleportation, you could rush them similar to how I've given an example with the tank, teleporting to a target instead. Or its claws could combust on impact of a target, dealing some burn damage that persists. Or perhaps you could create let's say your summon traditionally was some type of bear or bearcat. You could apply an elemental augment, and now it would be a transparent, flaming, bioluminescent cat.
Wow.
And its damage would be fire-based.
Dope.
So that's how we want to influence the active skills with how augments apply, and that's how it would apply with summoners.
I had an interesting question earlier.
Yes.
I had a question about being able to compound skills from two different players.
Oh, you mean playing off of each other as mechanics, that kind of thing?
Exactly.
So yes, skills from different. Can I put my feet forward here, or is it all blocked off?
It's all kind of blocked
off. Okay. Skills. Excuse me. Skills from different classes will have synergy. They will also have combination effects as well.
Oh, cool.
So, for example, when we get into the elemental side of things, and I know some people think, oh, elementals have been drawn out. Make a mage with something different. There'll be options outside of elemental influences, but elemental is our traditional. Magic is the idea behind magic is you're manipulating the elements, right? Now they don't have to just be fire, ice, water, and air. They can be darkness. They can be light. They can be planar. They can be a lot of different types of quote-unquote elemental influences. But say, for instance, I am a ranger that has a charge bolt ability as my primary active skill, and I've chosen mage as my secondary, applied the elemental to it. I now have a frost charge bolt.
Wow.
And if I fire that frost bolt and hit a target, they may be freezing for a period of time as a debuff, and that might slow their speed. If a wizard applies a nuke on a target, and that nuke is a frost-based nuke, those two stacking elements might then either further snare, slow the target, or paralyze and freeze the target.
Wow.
So there are combination effects off that. Build-ups, you're talking about build-ups where you can do two separate skills that cause an ancillary effect. So you have primary, secondary, and then some ancillary effect occurs when those are combined.
Oh, very cool.
That as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a good question. Very good question. Another good question from Alexandra. Stephen, oh my gosh. Stephen, I can't see this.
Stephen,
how the crafting mechanics will work. We get a recipe for rare, epic, legendary weapon armor. Do we get them from bosses we buy them from, or will we commit to omniscience? So that's a good question. There are many different ways to achieve recipes. Recipes can be granted through a lot of our progression paths. While leveling in your level progression, you can find recipes as drops from monsters. You can get recipes from quest lines. You can achieve recipes in your societal stature. If you become a mayor, you might be able to add specific recipes that the node can achieve as a community to your recipe book. If you are a member of a society like the Thieves Guild or a Scholars Academy, your progress within the society may unlock recipes to be granted for your recipe book. If you succeed in killing some legendary boss or gaining a title, that may achieve certain recipes. if you have become a landowner and you are building up your processing power through establishing infrastructure, those conditions can grant certain types of recipes through the buildings that you build. Your religious devotion can grant holy recipes based on your stature within the church you are a part of. We want to take crafting and house the location of those recipes throughout different progression paths so that not everything is pigeonholed into one way forward. Multiple play styles should be relevant and viable. Additionally, you have a spread between casual players and hardcore players, and most of us exist somewhere on that spectrum, not on one side, but somewhere. And we may have only time during the month for one of these months that we're playing the game to log in several hours a week, and the progression path in a society or a religion is more conducive to the time we have to play, whereas someone else might be playing several hours a day, and they have a better opportunity for the raid/level progression that might require some more dedication. So we want to have these different progression paths available to accommodate the different times in our lives that we have to play the game. And all of those types of progressions will make us relevant in some way, shape, or form to the general world.
Very good.
Somebody said, as someone said earlier, balancing is going to be hell. Well, when is balancing not hell? When you have a very boring game.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have a game with a lot of moving parts, obviously balancing is going to be a primary objective. And that is why we have a lot of planned testing phases, because early on in the development we have incorporated many metrics to watch player activity in the world in live time. And that will grant us an added benefit of being able to see these balances in action during testing phases and iterate upon them so that we can make sure that when we go live, we have a very tested, tried and true balanced system. What's up, Jeff Bard?
There's someone in the press room who wants to talk to you.
Oh, very good. Would you like to take them?
Sure. Just wanted to make sure.
All right, sounds
All right.
good. Good luck. Bonne chance. All right. Today is my stream day. I'm going to be trying to spend as much time with you guys answering a lot of questions because I know that sometimes in our development cycle we get our heads down. And you may go a couple of weeks or slightly longer before you get a lot of drop of information. And then it all comes rushing out sometimes too. And that's part of being on a project that's developing. Is we have events like GDC and PAX that happen a week apart, and we have a pretty strong sprint towards them, and things happen. But I'm going to spend as much time as I can. So handing off all the press stuff to Jeff. Let him take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel.
Nice.
Okay, question. From Boss 1. Have you hired another community manager yet? I'd love to help in that role. Your culture sounds great. Thank you, Boss. We do have a great culture, and we are hiring. We have some job postings on LinkedIn, those of you out there who are in the industry. I will say that for me, community manager is an important role because in my experience, hold on, let me sign this real quick. Where should I sign? There we go. Thank you.
Are you baking too?
Oh, bacon. So, community manager is a very important role. Why? because I want to make sure that the tone for the Ashes community is not a overly strict one. And has become somewhat pervasive in the MMORPG genre from a community standpoint that moderators / managers feel it's necessary to be overly strict. So it's difficult to find a talented and experienced community manager that both understands the MMORPG genre and coincides with my views on how the community should be regulated / run.
Yeah.
Now, that's just from a moderation standpoint. Additionally, I want to make sure when we do bring on, and we will be bringing on a community manager, but when we do bring on a community manager, that there's a lot of fun activities for some team building efforts in the community, guild oriented, just a lot of mechanisms that bring you guys together to support not only the game, its development, but also each other. Because ultimately, all rivalry aside, if it weren't for each other, we wouldn't have a game. And we want to make sure that any type of rivalry is healthy. Question from let's see. Do you plan to make cross-server PvP modes or something similar to WoW Battlegrounds? WoW Battlegrounds, yeah. So one of the games that I played long ago, Lineage 2, there was like an event where they had this cross-server event, and you had teams join up, fight each other, and then get chosen as a server rep team to go fight other servers. I thought that was really cool, and I enjoyed that. And I know I spoke early with Jason and Kevin about implementing a cross-server arena where we could have it perhaps monthly competition, and then the winning server gets some type of buff if they won for the month, and the teams that won it for them get some other type of buff as well that's beneficial.
Nice.
That is something, like a trophy buff or whatever. That is something that I like, and I think we will try to find a way to implement it. Again, we have a lot on our plate from a development standpoint, and if things like that don't make it into our launch build, they're more likely possible to be implemented in our updates and expansions. Let's see. Nazik Zoomian. I personally get bored with tab targeting combat. Will it be possible to use more challenging mechanics, only abilities, and will it be worth it, other than entertainment? Like a charge that has to be aimed and not just auto-target. Yeah, so we've said this a few times, but skill progression, skill point allocation is determined by the player. The player will be able to choose either more tab target oriented skills or more action based skills and customize their playable experience to what accommodates their preference.
That's awesome.
And from a balancing standpoint for us as developers, we need to make sure that certain abilities house certain functions so that there's a balance between skill shots and tab targeted abilities. Like, we don't want to have lockdowns and CC effects housed in the housed in the tab targeting area, because if you combine the added damage that may be present in a skill shot balance system with another party member that might be a tab targeted CC'er, then the added complication of the skill shot is diminished by the fact that the tab targetable person can just CC a target and the skill shot can land it. So we want to make sure we don't house a lot of CC abilities within tab targetable skills because we want to avoid that type of thing. But that's just an example of balance that's necessary between those two different houses of gameplay, action and tab. Additionally, you may not be able to fully spec into just action or tab. You might have a max differential of 75-25 for those skills.
Yeah.
Solemn Face Man. Steven, do you aspire for PvP Arena to become an esport eligible? Do I aspire for it? Right now, that's not necessarily an object of our focus. I feel as though if we make the gameplay compelling, competitive, and fun, that naturally it will move in that direction, and then we will find the ability to support it afterwards. So our first objective is to make it fun. Our second objective is, if it is, then we'll see how we can apply it in that arena. Warriors, what are they going to be like? I need to know from the bro, Safini.
He needs to know.
He needs to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We must tell him. Warriors. Warriors are really going to be the melee, well, not necessarily, they don't have to be melee, but they're going to be the DPS equivalent and counterpart of a ranger, but more so in the way that dealing burst damage for physical as opposed to consistent damage over time that an archer might be doing. So what we want the fighter, the warrior to do is we want them to be able to cut through enemy lines, get to the support area of a raid perhaps, and take out healers and stuff like that with some quick DPS burst damage. We want them to be masters of different weapons. We want them to be able to be versatile in whether or not they want to choose to be a ranged fighter or melee one. It's going to be up to the player. What kind of combat are you guys going for? We're going for strategic and also dependent on movement and location. Basically, we want combat to be engaging, fun. What you're seeing in our pre-alpha, we honestly have not spent a lot of time on combat. Most of this pre-alpha has been spent on establishing core technical features for our proprietary back-end solutions for making an MMO in Unreal, as well as connecting many players into a single zone with 4,000 NPCs, getting good server frame rate performance, making the connection through our launcher in, establishing the core node system collection of experience, specifically cultural experience. Combat has not been at the forefront of our development. I don't even know if we've had anybody really specifically working on combat. I guess maybe a keel with skills. But right now, we've begun the sprint towards Alpha 1 first phase deployment. So we're really looking into the action side of combat right now. And we're building systems for that. And the reason why we're doing that is because tab targeting has been a staple of MMORPGs for a very long time. Even though there's a large interest now in action-oriented combat for MMORPGs, and there's been some successful titles with action-oriented like Terra, BDO, we want to be able to really delve into that development so that we can better understand how to merge tab and action together in the same game, because they're vastly different play styles, tempos that exist between those things. So we're spending the time now to play with those things. Yes, Sirius Domo asks, any reason for giving Braver of Worlds Alpha 1 but not Alpha 0? So, the answer to that is pretty simple, actually. When getting real-time feedback, we want a wide sample of opinions from people that cannot afford to spend, $400 or $500 on the Braver of Worlds to people that can. So that is why we set up a tiered raffle system, so that we have entries from people that are in Kickstarter and entries from the different tiers of our pre-order, and we raffle from there. Additionally, I don't want to sell Alpha Zero. A pre-alpha experience isn't something really that can be sold, in my opinion. It's oftentimes bug-ridden. It's not dependent on the play sessions. It can be impromptu. It's not an experience that should be sold. It's something that should be, in my opinion, I guess just raffled out, basically. If you're a supporter of the game, we want to give you an opportunity to join. We want to be able to use that as a tool to keep the audience interested in coming back and learning and participating. And I know what you're saying, like, but I paid $500 for an Alpha 1 key. Well, yeah, Alpha 1's going to be awesome, and you're going to be the only ones in it. But at least at that stage, I feel confident, the team feels confident that you're going to be satisfied with that experience. And we don't want to upset our Alpha 1 backers. So, that's why we're doing the raffle. We want to get a wide, diverse audience from a purchase standpoint, even people that aren't even invested in the game at all. That's why we raffle out to registered users or just on stream. Okay, what else do we got? Everyone is asking for Bard info. Please stop the torture. I feel like I need Jeffrey Bard here to answer the Bard question. He did go to Bard College.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Bard information. So, Bards are intended to really just killed you. Bards are intended to amplify a party or raid's ability to perform within their own class. That amplification isn't just intended for DPS, but also for support, for healing, for taking damage, for movement. And what we want the Bard to do is not just, Bards have often been portrayed as a musical class. And while they can be that, many Bard applications may exist in just telling a story. Telling a story is going to be the thematic component for how the Bard interacts with the party. And that story is going to enhance players' abilities to perform. Very similar in a way to buffing up a party. But you're not going to see them as a buff bot that we might have experienced in previous games where they're only good for their buff and then you kick them out of party and they sit in the corner and come back in 30 minutes. Those buffs are going to be related to how they perform. If they're engaged in combat and they land a skill shot against a target, allies within a certain range of that Bard are going to be granted a temporary buff that relates to the skill the Bard used against a target. So let's say the Bard is using a weapon, has a sword out, and slashes some performance action, does some gladiatorial-looking performance attack, and it looks so great, he inspires his friends around him to increase their multiplier on critical damage. And now they deal additional damage against targets for the next 10 seconds or 8 seconds. So you're going to need to be active. You're going to worry about your position, the relation of the position of your party members to you in order to accentuate really what you offer the party.
That's cool.
Yes. So that's kind of my idea for how Bards should work. All right. Let's see, question from can you tell us about what? Someone says, Steven, can you tell us about your childhood?
Oh no.
You want to tell us about your childhood first?
No, you don't.
Come on, I want to hear.
I can't do it on here.
I haven't even heard. Oh, come on. Wait, we'll have to tick the mature audience button.
Yeah, that would be most appropriate.
Tell us a little bit. Where'd you grow up, Bacon?
Where I grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon?
Portland,
How long did you live there for before you moved?
Up until my first game gig.
Really?
Yeah.
And what took you away from Oregon?
A job.
A job?
Yeah.
That's
That's why I went to
pretty cool.
Florida to work on the Duke Nukem stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you like Oregon?
Yeah. I miss the rain.
I love rain.
I love rain.
Like one of my favorite things if I'm waking up in the morning is to hear that it's raining outside. I'm not even kidding. Like
Oh, totally.
I have skylights in our house.
Uh-huh.
Have you been over to my house before?
No.
You haven't? Oh my gosh, you can come over for dinner.
All right.
But I have skylights in the house, and they have their windows on top. So when the rain hits, you hear it loudly through
Oh,
the
wow.
house.
That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, it's pretty good.
That's very nice.
I grew up in San Diego. Actually, I was born in San Diego.
Really?
Yeah, and I lived there till I was 5. Then we moved. My mom was a single mom. I had 2 brothers. We moved to Indiana and
Oh, wow.
lived in Indianapolis for 8 years
Oh, wow.
till I was 13. Then I came back with my family to San Diego and have lived in San Diego ever since.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were in Vegas at some point.
Well, I went back and forth. I bought a house.
Oh,
when
okay.
when I graduated high school and went to college, I bought a house in Vegas to go
Gotcha.
back and forth. And but I really hated Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry, anybody who lives in Vegas. It was just it was always dry. It was either super cold or super hot.
Yeah.
And there was always just people traveling in and leaving, and I mean, I didn't have any time anyways when I was younger to really focus on
Gotcha.
what was going on around me, but all right. More questions. Let's see. Space Dragon asks, can you say anything about dragons? Yes, I can. So, dragon mounts are intended to be a class of royal mounts. Royal mounts means that people who have access to royal mounts are people that are either mayors of a metropolis or kings and queens of a castle. Now, there can only ever be 5 metropolises and 5 castles in the game. Additionally, royal mounts can be dropped from legendary world bosses. If they are dropped from the legendary world boss, they will have a lifespan that those royal mounts can exist within. And that lifespan will likely be between 2 weeks and 4 weeks, after which the mount will pass away, sadly.
Gotcha.
But dragons are a class of these royal mounts. You can get different types of royal mounts. They don't have to be dragons. They could be some other type of legendary mythical creature. And you can, our mount system kind of works in a way that there's really going to be classes of mounts. And you will be able to achieve skins in the game, or you'll be able to achieve different types of those classes and summon them. So the dragon will have a lot of capability in PvP. It's primarily its purpose. Because as it relates to castles and the sieges therein, or nodes and the sieges therein, we want dragons to have large-scale ramifications against player raids. So they'll be able to fly. They'll be the only mounts, the royal mounts will be the only class of mounts that can fully fly in the world. They will be needed to be mounted while in a royal stable. Royal stables are a building that can be built in a node if elected to be built by the mayor and supported by the community building it up through the quest to do so. And castles come with a royal stable as well. So once you have a royal stable and you become that mayor or king or queen, You may then mount the creature there, and then take it wherever you wish. Will there be a flight time associated with it? There will be a flight time associated with it, but the flight time will be considerable. We're thinking probably between 20 and 30 minutes. So will that limit the range of effectiveness? Yes, it will limit the range of effectiveness for that particular mount. But it will be an epic-looking, large-scale creature, and people will notice you and it while you're approaching. So
will there be dragons in the game that are untamable?
Yes, there will be dragons. There will be legendary world bosses that are dragons, and you cannot tame them.
Cannot tame them.
You may only defeat them for their treasure hoard.
Very good.
Yes. XR asks, how are you guys planning to make legendary weapons feel legendary but not overpowered? Well, part of a legendary weapon is its visual appearance. You know, what it looks like. It will be a very ornate and detailed weapon, more so than any other weapon or piece of equipment in the game. It will also include some awesome looking effects that won't be too gaudy. You know, they won't be too bright and shiny so that it doesn't look good, but they'll be subtle and people will notice it and know, wow, that guy has this weapon.
Yeah.
Additionally, the amount of effort needed and interdependencies across the different types of players between raiders and PvPers and crafters and even the role players and the taverns and businesses and the processors and gatherers, all of those systems will likely have a component that is lended towards creating or crafting that legendary item. So because there will be such an in-depth process to gather those things, you know, there's two ways that games tend to make a curve with gear. Either it is super RNG oriented or super time consuming. Sometimes if you're unlucky, it's both time consuming and RNG oriented. But we want to stay away from the highly RNG'd system and instead take our multiple progression paths that we're offering the players and put the construction components for achieving these legendary items within them so that it encourages communities to work together, because it's going to be difficult for just one person by themselves to gather everything. Not to say that they couldn't in an economic sense, like buying those components, that's possible. But achieving them from a time investment standpoint, we want it to be considerable less RNG focused, so that you know if I spend that time, I'm going to get this thing, it's not going to blow up in my hands, and I'm left with nothing. So, yes. Let's see. Question. Will there be an achievement? I just saw this. It flew away. Oh, achievement reward system that can earn you titles, mounts, and wardrobe sets for various accomplishments. There will absolutely be an achievement reward system. That achievement reward system is actually prevalent in a lot of systems. So that is our mechanism for rewarding time, rewarding risk, rewarding accomplishment. We have that is both title oriented. It is can be cosmetic oriented. And, you know, we have some games out there, you know, and I don't want to throw them under the bus, but it rhymes with CDO.
CDO.
Rhymes with CDO, the acronym.
Yeah, what do we do?
I don't know, and they pollinate, the first letter pollinates flowers and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I think they call those bees.
I think that's vague enough.
Okay, it's vague. It's pretty vague. But I don't like how this game that should not be mentioned or heard of, I didn't say it, has really bad looking cosmetics that are achievable in game, and you are forced to purchase the cosmetics from the shop if you want to look at all good whatsoever. Now, that's not to say the game's bad. I mean, the game has a lot of fun components. It's successful. But I think that from a monetization standpoint, it's pretty sad that they feel compelled to offer nothing from in-game achievement and only something for dollars, especially when you have a subscription component. So my philosophy on our cosmetics is, I want to incentivize purchase in the cosmetic shop for sustainability of what expansions we have intended. And since we're not a box cost, I want to incentivize purchase by offering limited items, limited time, limited quantity. So you have confidence if you purchase them, they won't be offered later down in some other way. However, I want to make sure that equitable cosmetics, both from a quantity and quality standpoint, are achievable through in-game achievements. Time, effort should let you be happy with what you can accomplish. So that is important. All right, let's see, what else? Here we go, we have a question. My gosh, I just can't stop this thing. It goes so fast. I need to be a better streamer. I'm so sorry. Will nodes be landlocked? I.e., will there be nodes on islands so we can make sea farming? So there will be nodes on the coast. There will be nodes even on islands. There won't be nodes underwater or in the water. But the nodes along the coast and islands, because they're along those things, they will have specific water-oriented influences and abilities, services, quest lines that relate to the seas. Yes. I like you, Steve, to talk like truth like it is and do make your MMO the best it can be. Not like these MMOs that just cash grab the player base like Arcade's video, and I didn't say he did. You are my hope for the MMORPG genre. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. It's interesting. Obviously, and this is just a discussion about the industry in general. And I have the unique perspective as being an outsider before I became an insider. And I can tell you that, there are many, well, let's be honest. Making an MMORPG is a large risk. It is the largest risk that any developer or publisher can make in the gaming industry because it is the largest possible project. It has the most moving components. It is a highly, massively multiplayer game that can break in so many ways you can't even count. So traditionally, over the past decade or so, when you have titles out there that command such a large share of the market, like the Final Fantasies or the Warcrafts or these franchises, they have gravity. It is difficult to pull players away from them. Not that should be the objective, but just the harsh reality is their gravity commands such a large portion of the market share. So that means that when you couple that from a performance standpoint with the risk associated from a development standpoint, then the risk versus reward, the opportunity, becomes a difficult equation to balance. So you see developers shy away, publishers shy away from innovating, and the market becomes stale because no one's willing to risk or innovate. The benefit that we have at Intrepid is that with my self-funding the project and the added crowdfunding that we did for Kickstarter, which was great, but with my self-funding the project, I have no one to answer to outside of my creative vision. And my creative vision aligns with my experience as a player. What did I experience that destabilized the communities of other games? What did I experience that accentuated the communities of other games, that added to the integrity of the communities? You know, I played many games where there was a highly pay-to-win aspect. And if you wanted to be competitive, and I always wanted to be competitive, I don't like to lose. I'll admit it. Some people can handle it. I really can't. But
like the James T. Kirk of
right, exactly. Yeah, I will cheat the Kobayashi Maru if necessary. But I'm sorry, where was I? Oh, so I have seen those systems, and I have been forced to pay to win as well because I wanted to be competitive. But if the game was made in a way where that wasn't the atmosphere, it would have been a much more enjoyable experience. If there weren't predatory practices from a monetization standpoint of the developer of that game or of the publisher of that game, then the communities would have been better stabilized. But I feel like perhaps some games go in with this idea that their monetization practices need to be grab as much money as possible as quick as you can, because retention will never happen with those larger franchises that exist out there in the world and the gravity they command. Exactly. So let's go in, let's burn it all down, and retention is not in our minds. We know we cannot compete with the attrition. We just get as much as possible. That's a really unfortunate happenstance. And I'm not trying to cast shade on other developers. I'm just saying how I saw it as a player. So my objective with Intrepid is to build something that is sustainable, that will be retention oriented, that will answer the call of what players want. Now, you know, I've read the Reddits. I gotta tell you, the MMORPG community has been so burned in the past with just different projects and different companies that they are like a hurt dog.
Yeah.
And if you want to like pet it and offer them some food, they will bite your hand off.
Oh, for sure.
Like
for sure.
even if you're giving them the like best piece of meat you got,
no, totally.
they'll bite your hand off on there, and it's understandable. I understand. I was like that. I still am. I'm skeptical when I hear of a project that tells me something I want to hear. But the bottom line is that the principles that we as a studio are trying to convey needs the support of the community, because if we want to change the direction of thought within the minds of the publishers and other developers in our space, we need to show that the community is behind these thoughts and not the wallets that get behind the pay-to-win or predatory cash grab thoughts. Because in the eyes of a board member, only the bottom line counts. I have no board members. I'm my board member.
Yeah, you're your own board member.
My concern is creative direction. And if the community can support that creative direction verbally, vocally, on the forums, on Reddit, at the MMORPGs and massively OPs, at the mediums where people listen, then we can move forward from this stagnant state as an MMORPG genre. So I know I went on a little bit of a tirade there, but you know, that is how I feel about it.
No, it's like that enthusiasm and sense of community that's, you know, been generated because of that philosophy is something that's refreshing.
Thank you. Okay. Other questions?
Even preaching.
Let's see. What else shall we answer? Steven, will there be a trophy system not only for PvP or PvE Monster World Boss, but also PvE? I don't know, like Stefferton Pelts. Well, awesome. That is hilarious. Stefferton Pelts, Giga Bear, look out. Okay. I would like that trophy system we discussed with the cross-server PvP. I would also like it to be for legendary world bosses. When a server downs a legendary boss, I want it to cost time, resources, dedication. And when you do that, I want everyone to benefit from it. And that can also include that trophy system that will allow players to benefit from it. So similar, yes. All right. What do we got? Weekly fishing tournaments. I think fishing tournaments would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll admit I played a game called Arcade, as some of you might know, and fishing was some fun in that. I didn't necessarily like the AFK fishing, but and the sports fishing was okay, but I really liked how you would go and have fishing tournaments that would yield rewards and stuff for your performance. And I'd like to see some fishing style tournaments in Ashes. Yes. A question from Chitaris. How are notifications about selections? Got Alpha Zero keys from social media, like, I didn't see the rest of it, like Facebook or YouTube delivered. So, if you're following on social media, you get additional entries into our raffle system. If your social media account is selected, because we have it all of our subscribers and followers downloaded on a list, depending on which social media account you're on, you will receive a message on that social media account. If you are registered on the site and own a package or a Kickstarter backer or a Summer backer, then you'll receive an email from your registered account on the website. Be patient with those guys. We only have at the moment a very small CS team. Sometimes I help with that as well. But as we move into getting closer to our Alpha 1 date, we'll bring on additional CS support, so it won't be as difficult. But those keys will be sent out likely Wednesday and Thursday of this next week. We are raffling 300 keys for the PAX event, and we also gave away a bunch of keys at the panel. Yes.
Just play PvP. That is the funnest PvP I've ever had.
Thank you. Come here. Say that on stream. There you go.
There's the camera right
Yeah, there's the
here.
camera. Let
Right
us see the
there.
mic. You got a mic?
Right.
What you got to say?
Where's the mic?
Right here.
Right here.
That was probably the funnest PvP I have ever played.
Very nice.
was epic.
Very nice.
Love it. Thank
Love
you,
it.
buddy.
Thank you very much.
Some of the players. By the way, guys, for those of you watching, at PAX, we have had a non-stop line around the booth. Every single day from Thursday to Sunday has been a 3 to 4 hour wait to play the game. And I'm telling you right now, this is a no BS moment. I would say upwards of 90% of the people that walk away are completely ecstatic and excited about what we've shown here and what is intended to be the game when we launch. So it is, guys, this is no longer just a hype train. This is a full-on train. We are a moving bullet down this railroad to greatness, and you guys are on for a fun ride.
The railroad to greatness.
Yes. Question from S Boots: how difficult will PvE content be in terms of how much percentage of the player base should be able to clear the hardest content? That's a good question. So I want to say that there's going to be a lot of PvE content for all portions of the player base. Now, you throw in a very interesting variable when you use the term hardest content. Well, what does hardest mean? Hardest means your time spent to be able to even access it, and then additionally, the time spent for you to be successful in completing it. So the challenge of the combat itself will be pretty intricate mechanics-wise. You know, we're going to have different phases of the bosses. There's going to be a lot of ad stuff. There's going to be random-oriented skill usage. We're not going to have telegraph templates on the ground, but we will have telegraph animations. So it's going to be location, mobility, strategic. It will be something that cannot be repeatable in the exact same way from raid to raid, but has a variance between the combat. So raids are going to have to be fluid and thinking on their feet. But what percentage of the population should be able to successfully complete the hardest content? I don't even know if I want to put a number on that, but it should be somewhat small. I mean, from a philosophical standpoint, if it is not somewhat small, then the players who are playing have nothing to strive for. Where's the goal if you can complete anything? So part of that risk versus reward, your risk is your time you're putting into to have a chance at getting the reward and successfully completing it. And that should feel good based on how much time you devote. Now, I know there's a spectrum of casual and hardcore players, and the time there, what we can do, but that's why we have many different content paths that play towards how you affect the world around you. But Sirius asks, please make ultra rare items droppable in solo PV. There will be ultra rare drop chances in zones that are solo centric. And, you know, some people, I'm gonna say this, a lot of people hate grinding. Some people like to grind. I mean, it's true, there's a portion of the population of gamers that enjoy those old school grindy MMOs.
Yeah.
You just want to veg out and go to a zone and like smack away on monsters. And if there's no, I don't want to say gamble, but if there's no opportunity of like rare reward, then you feel like you're doing it for nothing, and that's not fun.
Yeah.
But if there is an opportunity to get some mega sack of loot or some ultra rare item or whatever, then that gives them a tunnel of light where they can get
for
to.
sure.
Yeah. What time were we at? 2:20? How long have we been discussing this? When did we start?
Over an hour.
A little over an hour? Oh, that's good. All right. I was wondering where I'd receive it. Closest Ghost 420. If you won an Alpha Key yesterday and you want to receive it, we have your email address. You'll be getting an email about it on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. All right. Oh, the talking fish. I like where your head is going at regards to fishing pole progression. I think it was a cool idea, the whole fishing pole thing, where you can have a cosmetic kind of fishing pole through achievement or purchase, whatever it is. You can change the rod, reel. You could get bobbers. I kind of mind blanked there. Will you be able to have instruments, sing and play instruments outside of the skill, of course? I'd like to include, something interesting. Again, referring to arcades, one of the things I liked that they did is they had a musical composition profession where you could either take custom music that you created or songs that you like in the real world.
Yeah.
And you could take that file or whatever and try to create the music, and sometimes you'd have errors depending on your proficiency.
Yeah.
But then you could play it on an instrument in the game, like a sitar or a violin or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I brought it up a year and a half or 2 years ago in one of our discussions. I think it's somewhere in our confluence. It's an interesting thing. Okay, I'm going to do one last question, and then we're going to do a raffle.
You remember a good one.
Okay.
Do you like pie?
Ah, okay. What? Let's see.
Something very benign.
Can other players' ships be temporarily hijacked? Can their cargo be unloaded by enemy players? Or will it be similar to caravans? So, ships can be hijacked. Additionally, the cargo on a trade ship will be similar to caravans in the sense that you must destroy the caravan. A trade ship cannot be hijacked. You must destroy it in order to capture the loot, to create a wreckage. So, that is that question. Guys, let's do a raffle, but I'll tell you what the keyword is for the raffle in a second. I just want to say, well, we'll do the raffle first and then I'll say something. Okay. The raffle is going to be, what should it be? We're going to raffle 10 keys. What should we do?
Just drawing a blank.
Let's
Fishing pole.
Okay, fishing pole. Fishing pole.
rod.
Fishing rod. Fishing rod. Fishing rod. Fishing rod. Fishing rod. Fishing rod is the thingamajigger. Whatever.
Thingamajigger. You should have made him write that out.
Oh, thingamajigger? Oh my gosh.
Thingamajigger. All right, here we go.
All right, first one up. Tay Dragon Vale.
Hey, Dragon Vale.
Tay Dragon Vale. Congratulations. All right, next one up.
All right, track, copy, paste. And
Simple Biscuit.
Simple Biscuit. I love that name.
Well done, but he put Fishing Road.
Road?
You put Fishing
What
Road.
is the matter with you?
Why did you do? Oh, we'll put it anyways.
All right, well,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
You squeaked
Fishing
on
Road.
through.
Squeaked on through.
Next one.
All right. Now stop.
Falked. Like hawk.
Hawk.
Yeah, but falked.
Hawk.
It's a game falker. Fishing rod falked. Good job, buddy. Congratulations. All right.
All right.
What do we got? Next one.
And drag.
Pick one.
Yeah, right there.
The Dark Wars. The Dark Wars. Sorry.
Is it dark? What the?
It's the Dark Wars.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Congratulations, Dark Wars. All right. Next one coming up.
All right. Oh, look at right there.
Kimono July.
Hello, yeah, it's July. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Kimono July. All right, next one.
All right. Oh, that guy right there. The girl.
Kyuden Asako. Good job. Congratulations. It's probably just Yuden. I think the K is silent. Zerul. Congratulations, Zerul. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 more.
3 more.
Let's get a long one. And then you give me a number and I'll count down on it. Okay, give me a number.
7.
7?
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Nice to meet you, 96.
Wow.
Congratulations, nice to meet you, 96.
Very upbeat name.
It's nice to meet you as well. 6, 7, 8. 2 more. We'll do another long one. Give me another number. 1 to
3.
20. 3. Theogen, son of Leogen. No, just Theogen. Congratulations, Theogen. All right, last one.
All right.
Give me another one. Okay. Give me a number, a high number, 1 through 50.
1 through 50?
Yeah.
47.
47. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22,
Don't miscount. Don't miscount.
29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. What'd you say?
47.
Okay, we'll count who this was so they know how close they were.
Okay.
Shanker 1, you were 41. Exodus Kush, you were 42.
Oh, that's
Caustically, you were 43. Zap was Staken, you were 44. Checker J, 45. 46 was Dead Eris.
Oh, wow.
And 47 was Dudrogen 91.
Drogan 91.
Congratulations. Very cool. I like that method.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
There we go. All right. Guys,
Very nice.
thank you. I know that this is our last day of streaming. Bacon, you're going home today
Yeah, about an hour.
in about an hour. So
Hour,
you only
packing
have
up.
an hour left, guys. I'm sad.
I know, I'm sad
That's
too.
actually sad.
Look at this crowd.
I know.
Look at that line. That line is crazy.
The line is crazy. Hey, listen. Thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts here at this event from the studio during this whole process. We've got about 700 people right now that are watching. Whether you hate us, you love us, you think we're going to succeed or fail, I'm going to tell you guys, we appreciate you being here and watching. We want to provide you guys the best possible MMORPG. We are working night and day, long days, because you are what matters. This genre is important to us, and we want to perform for you guys. So thank you for your support. Thank you guys for getting out there and spreading the word about this game, teaching others. It's hard. You know, we don't have a marketing team. I'm the only marketing guy at the studios. So, you know, I rely on the community to spread the word, and we appreciate so much that you guys have done that and are doing it. We're going to keep you guys updated. You're going to hear from us. You're going to see a video, a professionally done video of the event, all 4 days. It'll probably come out Wednesday. And, you know, you couldn't make it out. Hopefully you can live vicariously through that video. Either way, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I hope I got to answer some questions that matter to you. And I will chat with you all soon. Love you guys.
Good.